The S-Dino Variant Mod is fantastic. I've been using it for a long time now. The mod developer typically focuses on utility dinos to add weight reductions and improve harvesting. They will also update fighting dinos to give them much needed TLCs. And then sometimes they bring a dino that is just unique and interesting. The S-Fenrir is one of those. Now all S-Dinos have a stat adjustment of 10% lower health, 10% higher melee, and 10% higher movement speed. But the S-Fenrir has a lot more to offer. Let's get started. If you go to Browse Mods and type in S-Dino, the S-Dino Variant mod will come up. There is one engram associated with the Fenrir. If you go to engrams and type in Fenrir, you'll see you have Fenrir Frozen Fur Armor. Say that 5 times fast. That's available at level 70, and with it, it's some metal, a good bit of pelt, hair wool, some obsidian, and 125 silica pearl. So it's not exactly early game or cheap, but it's not unrealistic as far as something that you can reach. And pretty sure that you make this in your own inventory. We're going to make one so that we can take a look. Yes, it is made in my inventory. We're going to take and we're going to craft one. And here we are. Now, let's take a look at the way the Fenrir itself looks. It is very unique. If you remember from ASE on Fjordor, there was a reward in beating the 4th and final world boss. This has been quite a few years, so I might be incorrect about that, but I want to say it was the 4th and final world boss. You received a Fenrir as a reward for that. So this is modeled similarly. The difference is, if you know anything about the S-Dino Variant mod, the mod developer always likes to use blue, a lot of blue on his dinos. And so I've got just a standard dino here, and then I've got some mutations on these. And that 0 slot with 27 has made them kind of green, but you can still see that the blue icicles, ice spikes, whatever you want to call it, is still coming out of the Fenrir. So it has that look to it. Now if you have a normal kind of color on it, you can see you still have kind of a blue undertone to it, but it looks pretty good. I like the way it looks. So we have a direwolf here, and you can see just from height differences how it compares to me. It's basically head high. Then if you come over to a Fenrir and we take a look at that, you can see it's quite a bit taller than I am. So it's a bigger model altogether, but it's kind of similar to the direwolf in what it moves and its animations and all of that. Now, when we go to look at the saddle, what we're going to do is we'll go into its inventory and we will have a saddle slot here, and that's just where you place the saddle. When you craft the saddle, it will come out at level 25. If you are playing on a map that has drops enabled for the Fenrir fur saddle, you may find that you get a higher quality blueprint for that. Now, what I've done is I have taken the Fenrir saddle and I've come over to the upgrade station and augment station, and I've increased the level of armor that you get from the saddle. And in my testing, it is capped at 80. Now I'm on single player, so on official that may be capped a little lower. I'm not sure. It seems like I've seen someone, a content creator, who had a level 80 and he was playing on official. So don't hold me to that. But on single player, the cap is at 80. So it's kind of similar to, say, like the Shadow Mane or Power Mane's natural armor. I did increase from primitive to apprentice, and it's still capped at the same level of 80. So basically that's what you're going to get. Now for taming a Fenrir, it's a simple knockout tame. You basically knock it out and you put some kibble or some meat in it and it'll tame up. Now the S-Fenrir does get a pack bonus. When we come up to it, I get up to its name, and right below its name here, I've named it Ice, and below it is +4. When you come and look at these other ones though, it's like says S-Fenrir, and below it is +3. Over here, same kind of thing. It just says Clean Breeder +3. I'm not sure why it's doing that. Now, if you've seen any of my other videos on S-Dino variants that do get pack bonuses, I get some varying numbers. I can never consistently get the same number. We do know it gets a pack bonus. Not exactly sure why. It's +4 on these and +3 on these. We have 5 total, so every one of these should say +4. If you've been able to figure out why the S-Dino Variant Mod does this, let me know, because like I said, every time I do these, I get inconsistent pack numbers. Now the Fenrir has basically 2 attacks. It's really kind of 3, but I'll explain that in a second. If I use right trigger, R2, you see it has just a normal bite. And in the center of my hotbar, you can see it says ice bite, all right? And that would be L2 or left trigger, and it'll do a slow attack bite that slowly builds back up over time. The third kind of attack that it has is something that's called frozen fur, and if you hit R3 on PlayStation, you'll see you do a howl, and then you get a buff, and we'll go under buffs here and look, and it says frigid armor increases the armor of frozen fur. It inflicts return damage to attackers. It also grants a freeze immunity at the cost of stamina. So let's take a look at my stamina. It is rapidly dropping right now. All right. Now I'm going to demonstrate this a little better in a second when we're getting attacked. But the point of it is it does a reflection damage that's based upon your armor. So the higher the armor, the less damage you take, which means that's less reflected back to the attacker. So having good armor is helpful, but also harmful if you're looking for reflected damage. I personally would rather have the armor and save my health. Anyway, I'm going to hit R3 again, and you hear that little noise, and then we should have our buff gone. And we're just back to a regular imprint bonus. Now let's see this Dimitri down here. How beat up is this guy? Nah, he's not too bad. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get the aggro, and I'm going to let him attack me, and I have no armor on. We're going to see how much damage I take, and then I'm going to go through and put the different armors on. All right, so I get aggro, and he's starting to attack me. And he's doing 20 damage to me right now. We're going to go in, and we're going to place the 25 armor on. And we see that damage goes down to 10 from 20. Now, we're going to go in, and we're going to place the level 80 armor. And we see that damage goes down to 4. Next, I'm going to take this armor off completely, and we're going to do that howl. Now, we're going to look and see that this Dimitrodon is getting splash damage back from attacking me because I've got this frozen fur on. Let's go in and let's put our armor back on. All right, so we've got aggro. We're gonna have to get up here, let him attack. All right, so he's attacking. And you notice that there's a little green number right there. That's going to be the splashback damage that's going to the Dimitrodon. So every time he attacks, he's basically taking 1 or 2 points of damage. We got this guy who's going to do that as well. Let's take a look and see if we can get this guy. There we go. So he's taking damage every time he attacks me. And it looks like he's getting about 4 points of damage every time, and he's only doing 13 to me. That's while I've got the frozen fur defense going. So I'm just going to kill this Dimitrodon, get him out of the way, and we're going to let this guy take 1 attack from us. That's going to be right trigger, 478. Now I'm going to do the ice bite, and it's 670. So it's a slower attack, but it does quite a bit more damage. And I still have stamina. My stamina's dropping, and I'm doing splash damage to him. And we can see, we come in and show the debuff. It's got frigid armor on, so it's getting that splashback. Of course, he's bleeding me out while he's attacking me, but I've got quite a bit of health, so I'm okay with this. And we could kill this guy just by letting him attack us. We're not going to do that, because that will take forever. All right, so now I hit R3 again, and I go in and I turn off the frozen fur buff that was on there. Now the S-Fenrir has another special ability that we want to take a look at, and it's pretty cool. We're going to go into its inventory, and right now it's just got some random stuff from wherever we fought those dinos earlier. Now I've got in my inventory some raw meat, and the spoil timer on that is just over 9 minutes. And we got a dire wolf over here, and we know it has standard spoil timers on items. So we're going to take this 9-minute stack of meat, and we're going to place it into a dire wolf, and it will expire in 36 minutes. Now we're going to take that same stack of meat back, and we're going to come over to the Fenrir, and we're going to place it in its inventory, and we see that it is now 15 hours. So from 9 minutes to 30 something minutes to 15 hours in the inventory. The last thing we're going to do is we're just going to double check with berries. So I put a berry in my inventory. It's just about 10 minutes. We'll go over to the dire wolf, and we'll put that here, and it's basically 39 minutes. And then we come back to the S-Fenrir, and we will place these berries in, and we see that it is going to be about 16 hours before it spoils. So the S-Fenrir works very similar to a refrigerator. The S-Fenrir is awesome. It is fun to use and very useful. The saddle makes it so much better than its closest cousin, the direwolf. It is breedable and mutable. I highly recommend the S-Dino Variant Mod. There are so many awesome additions there. All S-Dinos can crossbreed with their vanilla counterparts. I'll include my S-Dino Variant playlist so you can check out some more of these fantastic dinos. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. If you did, give us a like and a subscribe. We really appreciate it. And we will see you in the next one.